there we go. Dan, it's our first Monday in like 2 weeks, my man. How you feeling?
I'm good, buddy. I'm trying to get this. I just figured out how to post as me, sales chatter, get this out to people to join our thing here. So sorry.
There we go. No, that's awesome. You know what's funny? I was gonna do that, but then I looked at the clock. There was 10 seconds. I was like, I can't do this nonchalantly. So maybe the intro, I'll do it. But this is
Yeah.
Sales Chatter, the logistics podcast where we aim to help 10,000 reps hit a million GP. I'm your co-host Ryan Mohamed, aka the Logistics Monk. With me is Super Mario himself, Dan Deigan. What is going on?
Buddy, great weekend this weekend. Wasn't the weather just awesome? And I hate to be that salesman. How's the weather over there? But wasn't the weather just like spectacular this weekend? Oh,
It was the best. It was honestly the
yeah.
best. We spent so much time outside. I got to spend it with family. Funny enough, like our weather here in Canada was a lot better than my sister and my wife's weather in Mexico. So I was kind of
No
like,
way.
yeah, it was. It was. We had like really good weather. They were really rainy out there. What was the day? Was it Friday, Dano, that we had like all four seasons hit us again? Did you get hit with like hail, rain, and thunder and lightning in like 15 minutes? Yeah, we got in here
No,
in oh yeah,
really.
like yeah, it was a fun like 15 minutes, man. First it was lightning and thunder, then it was hail, and then it was like pouring rain, and then 15 minutes later, it was like, okay, we're back to summertime. Back to summertime.
That would have been cool. No, I wish, man. Our grass is like brown, brown right now. Like we haven't had rain in I don't know how long.
Oh man, no, we need to. No, we had it was well, we don't have grass right now, but it was going really well. But what was the weekend like for you, man? Because like the weather was really nice. I got to spend it. My mom's been over this past week since everyone's in Mexico and just having an amazing time. And it's been for me. I've been thoroughly enjoying it. What did your weekend look like?
I swam for the first time in a year, brother. It was awesome. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so
So
proud
on
of you.
Tuesday, because I got my G2 out on Tuesday, so they say take 3 days. So as of Friday, um, I was ready to go. So Friday night, got the pool cleaned and everything. And then, it's funny. We went out for dinner on Saturday night with some friends. There was a jazz festival, a blues and jazz festival going on in Orangeville. And we're like, well, let's go out for dinner. And then we'll go to the jazz fest. We ended up having such a blast at dinner and then coffee afterwards. We never even made it to the jazz fest.
Those
Like
are the best.
I
Those.
know. Oh, I haven't laughed so hard with friends. I mean, I couldn't even tell you when the last time I laughed that hard was. Like we never even made it. We ended up back at their place until about 10:30, and then it was just like my jaw was hurting the next morning. It felt like I did like 65 V sit-ups. It was crazy. It was awesome. Awesome weekend.
Laughter is the cure to medicine, man. It's one of the best things ever there. So let's get into. We got an amazing topic today. So let's hit our intro video and
Yeah,
then we'll get into it. Let's go.
you got it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
This whole
So
week is going to be a very interesting week.
let's just put it that way. So if you're new here, and pay attention to Dano and I, what we've been experimenting with when Dano was away is having themes. So we're getting back to themes. So as the title says, asking clients for more money. Most of the times when you see podcasts and you see video episodes and different things like that or trainings, you'll see them talk about one topic and then the next day or the next time they're talking about something brand new. Nah, 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 nah. That's not the way that we do things here at Sales Chatter. So this entire week's theme is going to be based around this. So we're going to be bringing in experts. We're going to be bringing all sides of the logistics channel to figure out how do you ask clients for more money. But today we're going to operate like it's our Mayhem Monday. So we're going to give our thoughts and we'll go into maybe a little bit of a training for everybody who's kind of watching out there as well for today. And then at the end of this episode, we'll be announcing who's we're bringing on Tuesday. So Dan, let's not waste any more time asking clients for more money. I don't want to go scenario based today, my man. I want to go with, hey, whenever you see that or you have to do that yourself, no context needed. What are you doing?
So what I'm doing is I'm getting a review of the business first. I'm finding out, I often talk about what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? What can I improve on? I'm always starting with that. Always, 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 because I've always believed if we believe that we are doing our client justice, but it's not in the same direction as our client wants to go, it's not justice. So if you go and ask for more money, regardless, if you're not helping them achieve their goals, the answer is going to be no. And you might think that you're giving them this value and huge benefit and da-da-da, and it's not. So I start with that, and then I am always prepared with market data. 1000% market data. This is what's happening in the market. This is why. And you know what, Ryan, I think there's a secondary thing to this. And some people might say, Dan, you are absolutely friggin' insane. But in markets like what we're in right now, if I'm getting freight cheaper, I'm giving a discount to my customer. And I know some people are like, well, no, you know, it's got to go both ways. Like, I think when the markets are down, the customers deserve to be, sorry, let me rephrase. If you're playing in the spot market, right? If it's a point where your customer and you are playing in the spot market, and it's a mutual decision, explain to your customer the difference between spot market and doing like a regular, not necessarily contracted rates, but dedicated rates to specific carriers. Like, all of that conversation has to come out, or else you can't ask for more money. Like, you just can't. If you're not giving them breaks when there's breaks, expect, I shouldn't say you can't, expect a much harder time to get more money when things are needed. Does that make sense? I don't know if I got my
Yeah,
words right
100,
there.
100. No, though, that was perfect sense, and I'm in agreement. I don't think you're insane for saying something like that because when the tide is up and you know things are tough, your customers are there with you, and you're there with them too. And when the things are going low right now, things you can find freight anywhere right now. It's time for you to kind of trade on those savings. And you know,
Yep.
for me, when I think about asking clients for more money, I go with a different mindset. So for me, I never take a loss on a shipment. And people were like,
Nope.
hey, I'll take losses. But here's the reason why. At my first job, and this is the start of my career, Dan, we weren't allowed to take losses. I never
Yep.
knew that we were allowed to take losses until I got to my second company that I worked at. So for that first 2 years of my career, no L's, you know, even if it's like, I think the minimum I do is like $50, you know, and I would say that to my customers, you know, like if it's a situation like that. So when we're talking about asking clients for more money, I think of, hey, the mindset, if you're playing that spot, if you're that 60% or 70% agent and you're kind of doing cradle to the grave and, you know, you misquoted, right? Like you probably got 15 or 20 quotes that are kind of going out today and you misquote one and you want it and you're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And then you're like, oh God, let me go check the rate again. So what I believe in when you're asking your customer for more thing is just honestly be transparent. I'm a big person of being transparent. We talk about cost plus a lot. That's a reason that you can go and like as you're talking about giving your customer back savings. When you do that cost plus model, they see everything. You know, they see all your transparency and they respect that. But I think like for me, when I ask my clients more money, and we won't talk about accessorials because I'm just in the firm belief of that. Hey, if you have accessorials, they should 100% be passed on to the carrier. You know, I don't
100%.
believe
Yeah.
in you know anything. You know, waiting time,
The customer,
late
you mean?
overnights. Yes, sorry. Yeah, the customer
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
No, well, the rates from the customer should go on to the carrier. You know, there's no.
100%.
You know, that's from my mindset. So when I'm asking clients for more money, I usually go with the mindset of I don't ask them for more money on a lane that we've been actively running on, unless the market has kind of changed. And that's what you said. Your second part is
Yep.
that you're asking marketing data. But if everything's fine, like we're here in Canada, and you can attest to this, Dan. Toronto to Montreal, yes, it will fluctuate a little bit, you know, from here to there, but it's been relatively the same since I got in the industry maybe like 5, 6 years ago, you know, in terms
Yep.
of dry van loads and things like that. Different components from there. So you always got to kind of got a market of what we're looking at. But for me, when I'm asking my clients for more money, it's just having that conversation. Eat the frog first. Like if you know you have to do this, don't delay it. You know, don't delay it before it picks up in the afternoon or anything like that. Get on the phone with them and then explain everything and then leave that option up to them. You know, and I would like to say that once you do ask for money, don't ask for an increase ever, like again on that specific lane if it's a dedicated lane, unless things have completely changed without market. Always have some kind of proof to back you up. And I'd love to hear what the audience has to think about that as well. You know, when you're
Mhm.
asking those hard conversations, because it's not a conversation that you want to have with your clients. Truly, truly, and
Well, I used to think I would lose every client if I asked them for money. Like, I used to be of the belief that, oh, I can't, and I mean, and perfect example. So, I started dealing with Dell Computer very early on, and I was doing 30, 40, 50 loads a week with them. And when my costs went up because of fuel and all this kind of stuff, I was petrified to ask them for more money because I didn't want to lose the business. to the point where I just kept eating it out of my margin. And then the lawyer of the company came to me and said, like, listen, we can't move $1 million loads for $200. Like, we just can't. You have to, you know, as you know, put on your big boy pants, go to your customer and get more money. And that was the first time ever in my career I had to ask for more money. And I mean, my palms were sweating, Ryan. It's a conversation most salespeople never want to have. But in the end, every time I've gone to customers with data, you know, when we started 2 years ago, this is what the going rate was. This is where we are now. Here's how capacity is turning. Here's how the market's turned. Here's how this has happened. Here's how COVID has impacted this. Here's how COVID, and some of you might be like, well, if you go with that kind of data, then they're going to know your costs. And yes and no. But if you look at, for example, like what COVID's done, COVID's made people retool where they go. COVID has made people buy more expensive trucks. COVID has made companies go to salary drivers instead of rate per mile drivers. Everything's increased. So you can go to your customer with that data, not necessarily what you're paying on the lane, but that data, and say, you know, here's kind of what we can do. We can play in the spot market. It's going to be up and down. Carriers will show up, but there will be carriers that won't show up. So you have to understand that first and foremost. And if you want, we can play that market and we can go up and down. Or I've got this really awesome supplier. They pay their driver's salary. We're going to be there every day. We're delivering 32 miles away. And you give them all the details. And this one's 1,600 and this one's 1,700. And allow your customer to make that choice, because if they choose the 1,600 and you play the spot market, that's the customer's choice. And it's your choice if you want to continue to deal with them. If they choose the 1,600 and there's problems, they've made that choice to live with those problems. Yeah. I'm a firm believer of that, Ryan. And some people might say, Dan, come on, really? But I'm like, yeah, my margin's going to stay the same no matter which one I use. But this one wants an extra $75 to $100 more per load because they're going to be on time all the time. They're going to do everything in their power to make sure the customer's happy. These ones, you're just a backhaul. You know what I mean? You're just getting them out of a situation where they need to get to their head haul, or to what I used to hear all the time is, I need to get to my customer's door. And I'm like, well, what am I? Well, you're a broker. No, I'm a customer. Like, you're giving me a bill and I'm paying it. That means I'm a customer. And we just don't, unless you have a relationship with the supplier, you're a broker. You're not a customer.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I've had, and I'll give you a scenario as well, Dan, and I like everything that you said here. I just want to acknowledge, like, you know, giving the customer the options. And I think with everything in life, you always give options, not unless you get into, there's certain situations where there is no other options. But once you give that option to pick, then you can kind of base your SOP around them. But Dan, I've been in situations where I did project freight, you know, where we quoted on something that maybe is like 3 to 6 months, 12 months out, and those rates are not valid anymore. Right. So I've had to requote during that. But, you know, I set the expectation up. So if anybody's who's doing project freight, whether it be event shows or they're doing music shows or tours or different things, or even like museums, like you've done the King Tut Museum, understand that whenever you're submitting your proposal, keep in the mindset that the rates may change and set that expectation from day one. I think expectations are so important because, like, even right now, we're going through an RFP right now that is not applicable. Like, I think round one's like finished today and it doesn't go into effect till March of next year. You know, so you're telling me that you guys want rates from now and then, you know, it's going to be for next year. So setting that expectation that, hey, I might be coming in for more money, Ben. Understanding too, right? I think a lot of when you said that, hey, people will know what you're paying and all these things, you got to understand that you are an asset. Like, you are a true professional. When I introduce myself to people, Dan, and you're the same exact way, I introduce myself as a true professional, like as a logistic professional. I'm good at what I do, what I really, really do. I don't have a Ferrari yet, but if I drove one, I wouldn't be ashamed of it. You know, like, I wouldn't be ashamed to drive into my customer's thing, because if it was for me, I know for myself, when we were getting our deck, when you were getting your pool, even when you're going to cancer and you were getting your doctor, you wanted your best guy. You know, you didn't want the guy who was the middle of the road or like the lower or female or anything like that. You want the best of the best. So I think logistics professionals, you guys need to operate like that. You know, so when you're asking your clients for more money, you're not trying to rip them off. You're giving them a why. And we always talk about Simon Sinek, you know, start with why, things like that. But let them know, You know, like this is where we need to kind of be at so we can be a successful relationship. And you're talking, Dan,
Yep.
about like having that supplier be, $1,700 clockwork, right? The best loads, and I've spoken with my ops team and my customer service team, are the ones that are auto tender. They come in, accept, boom, straight auto tender to the carrier.
Yep.
What more do you want from them?
Hmm.
The
Yeah.
shipping manager is going to see Joe every Tuesday at 9 a.m., probably bring him some donut and coffees. They become friends and things like that. And they just truly build a relationship there. But
Yep.
those are really my opinions. What are your thoughts on, like asking for more money as like a true professional of this, like being the top tier of what you do?
Well, I agree with everything you said, Ryan. You know, the top professional understands the market. They really do. They keep learning, they keep educating. And customers want that education. They might not want to go and find it, but they want it. And you're the person that brings it to them. So I'm always educating my customers on the market, even if I'm not asking for money. So when I ask for money, they say, well, if Dan's asking, that means he needs it. Something's happening. I trust it. And that's the way it's just ran for me for probably the last decade and a half. Not early in my career, but for the last decade and a half. And you know what? It's like I'm not a big fancy car person. I never have been. I think as a kid, I probably wanted one of the, fancy cars and all that. I would rather have like, one of the sports cars where I drive it on the weekend, but you don't want to put too many kilometers on it kind of thing. But when it comes to that, I remember a buddy of mine saying, Dan, you want the best, just like you said, Ryan, and you do. And he says, and the best people make a lot of money. This is just what it is. The best people make a lot of money. The best doctors, neurosurgeons on the planet. Do you really care what he drives as long as he can pull the tumor out of your head? Really, and it's choice, right? Vehicles is all about choice. It's about appearance. It's about, what you choose. I don't really care what the vehicle looks like as long as I'm comfortable inside of it.
Mm-hmm.
I got a buddy of mine can afford almost any car on the planet. And he drives a Nissan Rogue because he loves the way the dash is set up and where he can just touch things and he goes, it's like my favorite setup ever. It's just what it is. It's individual preference, right? It is what it is. But when we're looking specifically at, and I think, Ryan, here's a second thing. You have to understand your customer's mindset as well. So if you're dealing with a blaster customer, as I call them, where they blast out a quote to 50 different brokers, you're going to get what you're going to get. And if you ask for more money, you're usually not going to get the freight because somebody else will do it at a cheaper price. So there's certain customers where you have to understand this is the price. I'll never get more money. And I'll deal with this customer for the next 30, 60, 90 days, maybe 6 months, and then they won't be around anymore. Because somebody's going to come in cheaper and the customer's not going to, don't deal with blasters, Lisa says. And absolutely. And so, but you have to understand it. So you have to understand the placement of your customer in your overall life cycle in this business. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that salespeople don't do. Is they try and ask for money from customers who have no interest in giving anyone an extra $5 because they have their system. They blast it out. They run their freight that way. You're not going to convince them otherwise. So asking them for more money is fruitless. And I think it destroys the salesperson's belief in themselves about asking for more money. And then it's just a vicious cycle, right? It's a reverse confidence loop, right? And so just understand that part of your customer, right? Is this a customer that believes I'm a resource and we work well together and this is a relationship, a two-way street? There might be stop signs and traffic lights, but they go each way, right? It's not a one-way street, my way or the highway. And when we have those customers, they really understand, what? Ryan does really good work for me. What is the reason you need the extra $100, Ryan? Well, it's A, B, C, D, and E. Okay, we'll figure out a way to make it work.
There we go. I want to get to Anthony's comment here because this is what the show is all about too, right? It's like, he says, "Hey, I did ask for more money during Blitz week, right? So that's a week where rates would go high and receive a little pushback. I'm literally taking." They're talking $100 more. Once I explained, I promised that it won't be this week. Lane, they agreed, and they ended up
My
keeping
word
my
and dropped
word.
it back.
Yeah, to the original rate the following weekend. Those are the weeks, right? Like last week was a short weekend, Memorial Week, right? So you got the Memorial Day, sorry, in the States. So I think it's really important when you kind of set the expectation of why is there, not just because I just want it. And Dan, there's a couple points that you bring up here, and I want to talk about sorry, asking for more money. But I think like when I'm a big believer when you're kind of getting started off in the industry, you got those blaster customers, but you got to go through those. I really
Yes.
feel you gotta go through the suck like know what good is. And I think
Yeah.
what's important is that like I have blaster customers, like I have blaster customers right now, and I purposely quote high because like, hey, if we win them, then it's worth my time. If it's not, and if it's like, and we always like overquote, so it's just like for those blasters and those $50 to $75 loads, I've had more issues with those 50 to 75 to $100 loads, margin we're talking about here, GP, as opposed to the ones that I make a lot of good money. And it comes down to your suppliers. Right, you're gonna find you're not gonna be looking on LoadLink or DAT for like a lower carrier or anything like that to put on your good paying loads. And I think you figure that out what you want in your career. So when you have discussion, when you talk to a customer who has no wiggle room at all, and you ask them for more money and they can't even give you $50 more, then you're like, okay, well maybe they are going to be here for 30, 60, 90 days, and I'm cool with dropping them. Once I continue to work on myself, educate myself, use data, use all the resources that I can so that you can find the customers that wouldn't blink an eye when you're like, hey, I really need $50 more or $100 more, or I really kind of screwed the pooch here where, like I didn't quote this lane, I put the wrong zip code or whatever it is,
Yep.
right? So
Yeah.
people are people at the end of the day. And I think that's for me, when I was thinking about this topic, as you and I discussed this, I was like, okay, what ways can we think about, truly asking customer? And the cool thing is that we're gonna have a shipping manager tomorrow. We're gonna have a carrier tomorrow, and I was gonna get into the carrier piece, but I would love to save that for Wednesday because, like, when you're having those conversations with your carriers, hey, this is where the customer really wants to be. You might have to cut 100. I'll cut 100. Let's make this work as a supplier, right? But we'll talk about that
Yes.
more on Wednesday.
I've
I
done
think it's
that a
amazing.
million times.
There we go.
It's partnerships. And you know what, right? You said something very, very interesting there. When we were talking about those, I call them fly by night customers, where they're here for like 2-3 months and they're gone.
Yep. Yep.
Those customers used to destroy my confidence. Destroy, because when I got them, I was like, oh my God, I just got a customer. Okay. And I always think lifelong, right? But never really realizing they're blaster customers. And I've just quoted on a lane, and all of a sudden I get the business. I've had 4 conversations with this person and I get the business. There's somebody on the other side of that lane that just lost the business.
Yes.
So they're going to come back and get the business and want the business again. And that's that margin shift we talk about. Like if you need to make $150 a load in order to cover your spread for a cost of invoicing, plus make yourself money knowing it's, beneficial to you, and you have to beat that other person that you're going against by $50, and you do at $150 margin, if they beat you by $50, now you got to cut your margin to 100. Does that still work? Does the $50 still work? You can't drop it by $25 because it's that $50 spread you're trying to cover, right? By asking the questions. So never did I ask those questions. So I would just get business, and I would bust my butt to make $100, to make $150, like break my back. And I remember having more conversations with them saying, what do you mean I've lost the lane? And well, somebody came in cheaper. I go, but I broke my back for you over the last 3 months. And they're like, yeah, but we send it out to 50, like just like we did with you. We sent it out to 50 people, and people are coming in cheaper. If you can beat it, well, how much do I have to beat it by? $50. Oh my God. Like I'm talking $10 margin. I can't do that. But I acted as if this customer is going to be around forever. And it destroyed me. Like my confidence, my desire to sell. I was like, these people are assholes. Like, but they're not. That's just their process. It's exactly their process.
And that's
you
on
know,
you
and
for not understanding, not understanding your SOPs correctly. But
100%.
I get that too. I completely agree with you. Like whenever, even for me, getting a new customer, like, oh my God, it's like going into a new relationship, the honeymoon phase, and you're moving all these loads, and then you're right. The one day they're like, you stop seeing the loads come through. You see the quotes. The quotes are always going to be coming through, but you stop seeing it, and you thought that you're on a good foot with them and things like that. But that's all relationship at the end of the day. But getting back to it, when you're asking your clients for more money, I think it's just really important that you have a reason to. You think about it. If I think about it, Dan, if somebody was come and ask me for more money, like I hate to talk about, we just got our deck done, just like with yourself, right? Like, let's say my guy came up and he was like, we agreed to this price, we're ready to pay 50%, we're good to go, we're all booked, and he's like, yeah, costs have risen within the last week, and we got to do this. Then at what point, I think for myself, maybe I started looking around, like, what has really changed in the past like week or a couple days or something like that. And you and I talked about this. I mentioned to Jeff as well that we enjoyed our backyard, was that we did a cost plus that I didn't know that cost plus can be outside of logistics. He literally gave me his cost for his supplies. He said, you guys can order it if you want. I might be able to get a discount because I'm going to do 2 or 3 different projects that week. And then here's my labor. And you kind of go with that. And when you have that conversation with your customer saying that, hey, this is what my costs are, what I'm looking at, if you're going through that cost plus model, this is what it takes for me to build, like, arrange all this stuff, my operations team, my customer service, track and trace, making sure that you never get a call from your customer. And I asked my customer that, like, is $100 worth not getting a call from your receiver, your customer's customer, asking, hey, where's this shipment? They'd say, yeah.
Yeah. Is $150 not worth not having the salesperson come downstairs and scream at you because their customer haven't received the goods? It's worth it. And here with cost plus, this is the one thing I really love about cost plus. You can, in any market, cost plus works. Any market, highs, lows, standard, doesn't matter. Contracted, cost plus. Spot market, cost plus. Everything works. And no matter what, your margins go up and down. Percentage wise, they stay the same. Right? But if you have to pay $2,000 instead of $1,500, excuse me, you have the same percentage. So if you're used to paying $2,000 and the spot market goes down because you're in the spot market and you're paying $1,500 now, yes, your margin is smaller, but it's still the same percentage. And when you do that with a customer, and the customer there are customers that will think, oh, you're somehow inflating it. But when they start seeing bills go down because you're managing the business better, you're selecting better suppliers, you're negotiating better, you're doing this, they're like, wow, you really do have my back.
Yeah.
Cost plus. You never have to look over your shoulder, nothing. Like, it's the best way to do it. You don't even have to worry about mistakenly the accounting team sending the invoice of the carrier attached to your invoice, and you know what I mean? Because let's face it, that's happened. I've had it many times, and unfortunately, I had it happen with one of my pharmaceutical customers where I was making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a load. And some of you might say, "Oh my God, Dad, don't say that on air." Listen, it was $3 million worth of pharmaceuticals. I'm making money on that, Ryan. Sorry, I have one like brain fart, and that's a huge claim. I want to make sure I'm making money on that.
Yeah, and that comes back to what we were talking about before. You want to be that true professional. You want to be the top of the top. Like, if anybody watches Suits here, you want to be Harvey Specter. The best lawyer.
I love that
I love
show.
amazing show.
Spectre
Filmed in Toronto, by the way.
awesome.
Yeah, filmed in Toronto. So it's
made
one
it
of those
look like
amazing
New
things.
York. Pretty cool, but yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Pretty awesome kind of see. And I think that's where we kind of come at with. It's just really important to have those conversations. Send the expectations. So Dan, I want you to, because we're going this week with this amazing topic of asking clients for more money. Can you give the viewers basically what can they expect this entire week with this topic?
So this week's actually gonna be really cool because today Ryan and I give our thoughts. Tomorrow we have a traffic manager coming in that we're going to ask the question, how do people ask you for more money? What's happening in the retail market lately? So you're going to get insight in not just data, but actual information from pretty close to $1 billion company that that is dealing in the market. How do you ask a guy like this for more money? Wednesday, we got data day. Plus, we got, what was it, 1,000 trucking company that's coming in, and we're going to talk about how they ask for more money from their clients and how that we can, as a broker carrier relationship, negotiate for more money and kind of, like Ryan said, split the difference. And then we're going to dive on Thursday. We're going to dive into some of the personal development side, the mental aspect of asking for things, asking you shall receive kind of thing. And then Friday, we're going to hit it out with a bang this week and just have fun. But then next week, right? Because we got themes going on here. We got okay. Sorry, I got.
Let's stick on the week. Let's stick on the week.
Okay.
Yeah, Fridays we'll always announce our theme, but we don't want to get ahead of ourselves before. Let's just stay in the mindset of asking clients for more money. And I think that's going to be an amazing week for everybody to come here. So that's essentially how our weeks are going to go. We're going to have a theme, and then we really drive into it, because there's only so much you can talk about double brokers. There's only so much you can complain about rates. We're giving you guys topics and how to execute straight up, how to execute on it, how to go ahead and be that person who doesn't have to worry about the fluff that's on LinkedIn or different blog posts or different like that. You can be the true professional that I say, drive that Ferrari, baby. Own it. Own it. Just completely own it.
And we're bringing in the real people to give you the real data. It's not just two guys sitting here, blowing hot air out there and saying this is what you should do. You're going to hear from the actual people that you're going to be calling, the actual people you're going to be negotiating with, to say, no, don't do it that way. Exactly. Don't do it that way.
We're going to learn. And that's the one thing I want the audience to understand too. Like, we're both going to learn. That's why we use the Mondays to give our thoughts. But then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's everybody else's thoughts, and we get to kind of hone it in and be education of the game. So this is Sales Chat.
I'm excited to hear if our thoughts are going to be like tomorrow when our guest comes and he says, well, you should do this, and this. If we're going to be like, bang, we got it, man. Or if he's going to just completely tear us apart and say, are you guys idiots? No, that's not how you do it.
Well, we do have to take with a grain of salt too that, like, we might not even be a match to work with the shipping manager. We might have different things, and that's what I love about the industry. Whatever the gentleman says tomorrow, it's not going to be for everybody, right? So we're going to have that reflection piece, but it's going to be somebody who's definitely experienced, and we won't we'll announce it later on. But this is something that I think is just really important because people, we stay tuned.
So let's just go. Let's just go for it. So, right, let's go for it. So, Lisa, Greg Cornett is going to be our guest tomorrow. So,
so people are going to say who, because who is Greg Cornett?
Who is Greg Cornett? So Greg Cornett used to be the chief executive traffic manager of Flair Flexible Packaging, and now he's head of logistics at EMG. And so Greg has been in the industry. He used to be a carrier. He used to work as a carrier. Been in the industry many, many, many years. Been a client of mine for probably close to a decade now. Great person. Works with Lisa and her team right now. Amazing guy. Yeah, she says yay. Yeah, and he's all about relationships. He's all about long-term business growth and growth with the suppliers. And this guy understood how important it was to work with a supplier before COVID. So a lot of traffic managers during COVID realized how important we are as logistics suppliers, right? You guys will all really, really, really love Greg. Really great man. Okay. And then I think we have paper carrier. What was it again? Dean set it up for us. PTI. So PTI is coming in on Wednesday.
All right, pardon the interruption. Mike Wilbon and Mike. No, I'm just joking. That'd be amazing if we had those guys on here. But
yeah, so it's from Paper Transport Industries in De Prairie, Wisconsin.
Okay. No, PTI, like, pardon the interruption, is probably like one of the top like sports shows out there. So those hosts would probably be amazing to have on here, and be kind of cool.
I didn't get the reference right.
Yeah. This is we need some. We'll leave it there. Hopefully, we'll bring it up with them on Wednesday. But everybody tune in. Definitely like, subscribe, share this with your friends, share this with your neighbors. Just know that, hey, if you need to ask for more money in logistics, it doesn't just apply to logistics. This applies to everything in life. That's where Thursday will be pretty cool to think about in other ways. But we'll be focusing on the logistics space, shipper tomorrow, and then carrier on Wednesday. So We will be back at it tomorrow live at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn and Twitter. We're excited for this week. And everybody, send us your questions, send us your thoughts. We're looking forward because we want everybody to level up as they kind of go here. And with that being said, Daniel, take the people home with our amazing websites and all that
Yes,
fun stuff
sir.
that we got.
Let me just pull that up under captions here. See that? I know where to
Yep.
go now, brother. Sales Chatter Live Broadcasting. If you haven't subscribed, then go over and follow us. And then check out our new website, saleschatterlive.com. We're streaming from there every day as well. You can support our channel here by hitting that QR code. Hey, you know what? Did we ever have a blast on Friday with the giveaways, Ryan? That
Oh
was
man, shout out
such
to
a blast,
everybody.
man.
Shout
Oh,
out to
it was
everybody
awesome.
for supporting, and we got to do it again. Once we hit that 1,000, that's the next milestone for us.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that it's going to be awesome to and it's by doing things like this. So like we said, we want the
Yeah.
feedback from the audience. Whatever you guys like, whatever you guys don't like, let us know so we can make amazing episodes for you all. So
Anthony cleaned up, man. He cleaned up that
Anthony,
day, boy.
cleaned
Yep.
up, man, cleaned up. So everybody, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care and have fun.